Good morning, Aurora. It's Becky from Bardwell Residences, and I'm working this morning with Curtis, and we are enjoying our coffee from Cafe 1888, and we are going to show you some stuff around our Bardwell Residences model rooms. Super excited today. We're starting out in the Tomcat, which I have named for our wonderful neighbors of East Aurora School District, and don't worry, all you West Aurora fans, there's for sure a Blackhawk room too. This is a one-bedroom apartment that you're in right here. It is about 675 square feet. This apartment is styled as an independent living apartment. You have a full kitchen, oven, stove, refrigerator, pantry, ice maker, all the good stuff. But it also has a really nice feature that it can be assisted living as well. We have a special license here at Bardwell called a floating license. And so what that means is if you move in and you're independent and you need change because you need some help, you can start to get those assisted living services right in your apartment. Because let's be fair, nobody wants to move when they don't feel good. The other thing, if you come in assisted, maybe you came from a rehab because you have a broken leg or you had a fall and a broken arm and you're just really struggling and need some help, you can start out assisted and transition back to independent if you go through rehab and do your therapy, and after a few months are really back to feeling like your old self. So it's really a neat option here that we can allow that. It also allows couples to be together when one person is assisted and one person is independent, and that gives them the opportunity to stay together and not pay for assisted living for two people, which is crazy expensive. So this is a really nice one bedroom, and you can see there's all kinds of windows in here. Most excitingly, this one to the south right here, where you can see that amazing cupola from Cafe 1888, which is super cool. And over to Bardwell Elementary a little bit. I think that's a pretty sweet view. It's really cool when the sun's setting over there. And then there's also a great view to the, let me think of my directions, the east into our courtyard, which is really pretty down there. Oh, we should open those blinds, Curtis. Got it? And that courtyard is going to be looking way prettier in a few weeks because we have our garden party coming up. So if you like planting and stuff, make sure you watch our garden party invite. Will be coming out soon. That's in May. We're excited about that. But before we get to the garden party, we have to do our annual Easter egg hunt. So on Good Friday, 11 a.m., we will have an Easter egg hunt open to the public. Just bring your own bucket so you can come collect your Easter eggs. Super excited about that. But even before that, next Friday, we are over the moon excited because V&A is finally open here, and we have a private party April 11th. And I know Curtis will send you some really cool pictures with the information, but we have a private party here. So any of you watching this considered our Bardwell family friends. So please come to the event and learn all about the new V&A space and how special it is for our Bardwell residents. I want to take you back and show you this freaking apartment. It's so cool. So, microwave, right? Stove, full-size oven, do some cooking. Curtis, I hear you make a mean cookie.
I do.
Full-size fridge and freezer, the ice maker in there. Look at this pantry. Like, what? It's huge. Yes. Nice little hallway here. Takes us down into our handicap accessible bathroom. So all the grab bars and everything are already here for you. In the shower as well, detachable shower handle, or shower sprayer, which is really nice. If you start to need a shower chair or something, it works out really great. And then look at this bedroom. Isn't this amazing? So much space. The closets are huge. They're nice and deep. Plenty of space in here. This is how I chose to arrange the furniture, but you could arrange it any way you want. Still have a really nice big window there for you. Yeah. Super nice.
And this decor, again, this is the Tomcat.
This is the Tomcat.
This is the Tomcat room.
So there's no red and black in here, but that's okay.
Very nice. A lot of space in
Thank you.
here.
Yeah, they're really quite spacious. You know, sometimes I don't like to tell people the square footage because I feel like 670 square feet seems really small, but it's really not small.
It's not, yeah. Not at all.
No.
A lot of this space for people to bring the family to as well. The kids
Yeah.
can run around in here.
Absolutely.
Visit grandma and grandpa.
Absolutely. You know, I don't know if I've ever told you before, but we had a family, they have 7 kids, so that's a lot, right? And they all have kids, and they wanted to host their Christmas dinner here. And they were a little concerned because, you know, they have a nice big apartment, but that's a lot of people in a 1-bedroom apartment, right? And so they actually used our Richard C. Irving Hall downstairs, and we put up tables and chairs for them. And then Mom and Dad were still able to host Christmas dinner. How cool is that? So we do a lot of stuff like that. So if you have a big party you want to have, we'll just block off a space for you and let you use it. One of our very first residents is Puerto Rican, so he also has a big family, and they had his 80th birthday here, which was super fun, and brought in all kinds of delicious food. Was I eating so good that day. But it was super fun. We've had a lot of fun.
Nice.
And then there's also a coat closet here. So, wow.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Are there any movement specials for this particular unit that are applicable right now?
So right now in the month of April, after you've been here for 6 months, you get $4,000 rent credit on your 6th month. So in this apartment, that would make it free for that month, which would be really exciting. So yeah.
Very nice. This is very impressive.
Why, thank you.
Look at the apartment here. This is the Tomcat.
All right, I'm so excited now because now I'm going to show you the Blackhawk, because I think everyone knows here I am a West Aurora Blackhawk, right? So this apartment actually is super cool. It's a 2-bedroom, but the West Aurora interior design program came in, did a field trip with us, learned all about historical architecture, kind of the life cycle and how your needs change as you age, right? You go from needing a crib to maybe a hospital bed at the end of your life. And so we talked about that, ADA accessibility and all of those things. And then I gave them this apartment with a whole bunch of stuff in it, and I said, make it cute. And they did, and it's so cute. So I'm so excited to show this to you. The super funniest part of this is that I thought I was one of those high school kids, but one of my one of my grade school friends' daughters was in the class. So then I was feeling really old. So this has all been styled and set up by the West Aurora interior design class. So very similar kitchen in here. Still have your oven, stove, microwave, full-size fridge, ice maker, pantry. I think one of my favorite things about us as a senior living is that you do have full-size appliances, right? Sometimes you go into a community and they have like mini fridges. And so we do give full-size appliances here, which is definitely a nice advantage. So to the left of the front door is what I would consider like your 2nd bedroom. And this is so cute and huge, right? One of our residents has 9 children and a different family than I talked about before, but it was very important to her to keep her dining room. And so her 2nd bedroom is her dining room. She has her hutch up and she has her table. Her kids all still come over and sit around the big table. And this is your home, so we want it to be as homey as you can. Now this way we're facing west, right? So super cool because you're actually looking at houses when you're looking out your windows. You're not looking at the backside of a commercial space or dealing with dumpsters or truck deliveries, which is really nice.
Right.
And those 3 blue houses there make me happy.
Yeah.
Yep.
1, 2, 3.
And then, you know, just the river is just the next block, right? So it's real pretty, lots of trees. This is probably a bad time of year to show that.
But the green's coming soon.
It is. The green is coming. My trees at home are starting to get some buds on them. Makes me happy.
Yeah. I have a cherry blossom in my front yard, and it's looking good. It's coming up.
One of my friends just went to Washington, D.C. for cherry blossom, whatever, festival, whatever it's called. So I thought that was neat. I didn't even realize that was a thing. So another bathroom, very similar to the last one. Again, designed by our design students at West Aurora.
Right.
So kind of exciting.
Nice grays. Nice
Yeah, they did a great job. They picked out great colors. I like this one because it has such a great pop of color in it. And this is what I would call the primary.
Ooh.
I know, isn't that bedding beautiful? Such a great, rich color. But the bedrooms are huge, right? You have your bed, your nightstand, your dresser, and they still have a desk in here.
So, what are the move-in times or move-in specials that are also applicable to this unit?
Same as the one before. So $4,000 off on your 6th month.
Okay.
So yeah, super exciting. That actually applies to all levels of care. So whether you're independent, assisted, or memory, you'll get a $4,000 rent credit on your 6th month.
Okay.
And that's for the month of April.
Awesome. And then for this month, what kind of other activities are going to be happening with the residents? And
You know, we are so busy, and you can be as social as you want to be here. We have some people who don't want to do activities, and that's okay. We have some fun bingo things coming up. We, sometimes have different bingo sponsors, which is fun because they bring different prizes or have a different spin on it. On Tuesday, Karen Lawrence from St. Mark's Church is coming in and doing a beekeeping demo. Okay. So all about the birds and the bees, but not really just the bees, which I am actually super excited about that because I do think beekeeping is really cool. Trying to think, I think we have an identity theft event this month. We have the VNA event. We have the Easter egg hunt, of course. And then towards the end of the month, we have 2 different events. One is about sort of spring cleaning, right? Like how to purge, what's the best way to purge. There's the theory of making the 3 piles, right? Keep, donate, trash. And it kind of gets into that a little more and help people. So a lot of times people know they want to move or know they need to move, but they can't even tackle like what they have, right? They've lived there in their house for 60 years and they don't know what to do, right? Or even if they've lived there for 20 years, you accumulate a lot of stuff in 20 years. Right. So that theory is really neat. And then we also have a 3-part series coming up, starts on the 30th. And the first part of the series is getting your important documents in order, right? So making sure you have a power of attorney, making sure you have healthcare power of attorney in addition to financial, making sure you have a will, making sure all of these things and how easy it really is to do them. A lot of people wrap their head around this. I have to get my documents in order and it's going to cost me $5,000. It totally doesn't. You can totally do this stuff on the internet, take it to the library, and have it notarized. It's very, very easy to do these things, but they're so important. And you don't want to leave a mess behind for your loved ones, right? If you don't have a will and you don't have someone as a joint owner of all of your assets, everything goes to probate. And that can be a real challenge for your loved ones you leave behind. As well, you never know. What if you fall and break your arm and you can't pay your bills because you can't get online or you can't write a check anymore? You should have someone set up as your power of attorney to be able to help you. And God forbid you fall and hit your head. You just don't know. None of us have a crystal ball, right? And it's so important to be prepared. So that's the first part of the series. And then the second part is, again, kind of that downsizing and cleanup and organizing all that. And then the third part of the series is actually selling your family home. And they kind of get into what are the best ways to handle the sale of your house and, do you want to leave it to your kids and how do you do that fairly if you have more than one kid and all of that kind of stuff, which I think is really important. All of that process of moving is exhausting and it's so much thinking. And so having this 3-part series will be a really great way to sort of help people organize all that in their head, right? They're going to learn about the documents, digest that for a couple of weeks, come back and learning about downsizing, digest that for a couple of weeks, and then come back and learning about the next steps. So I think that's really important. It's a great way to sort of organize yourself, right? The other thing that I think is so important to get out the message, don't wait until something happens to start thinking about downsizing. If you've had something happen, you've had a health scare, you've had a family member with a health scare, or you've had a physical injury, maybe you fall and tear your rotator cuff or whatever, you do that and then you don't feel good. And then you have to try to handle all of that stuff when you don't feel good. And when you don't feel good, nothing's easy, right? And nobody wants to move when they don't feel good. And I think sometimes people wait too long, right? They're waiting until something happens and they don't feel good. And then they're not really enjoying moving into a community and having fun here, because we have a lot of fun here, I'm just saying. So, those are things that are all really important to kind of have in the back of your head, right? Maybe you're not ready to move in April, right? But you want to move before the end of the year. Well, don't wait till December. Start looking in June. Or start looking in July. Move when the weather's nice, right? Nobody wants to do it in a snowstorm or when it's 10 below, because we all know Chicago weather is never predictable. So, although it could rain in the summer, we'll figure it out. But either way, my point, I guess, is just don't wait until something happens. So I've met with so many great families, and they often are at a point where they're like, oh my God, I have to move my mom tomorrow. Well, then you're just making a rush decision, right? You're really not getting the time to get that in there. So start thinking ahead. That's so important, and it's so important in life, period, but it's even more important when it comes to downsizing and moving. So, all right, Curtis, I have to show you one more super cool thing we're so excited about here. So to my right here, we just had this bench installed and donated to us. One of our families was so happy with the care their mom received here and their addition to their life here that they have donated this beautiful bench to us, and we are over the moon about it and absolutely love it. So I am very proud of it, and I think it's very cool, but I wanted to make sure I showed it to you while we were out here today.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Great touch.